Hello, my name is Sasha Farbach for TVP World. Now, Moldova is one of those countries who's been in a long process on that road to European membership. And now to talk more about it, I'm delighted to be joined by Ambassador Daniela Morari, who is the head of the mission of Moldova to the European Union. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you for the interest.
Now, Ambassador, when you do this journey for Moldova, we go back not just to the last few months, we go back years to 2022, 2019, and you have played a role in that. Tell us what this means for Moldova, this process to the EU, and also your own journey in that.
We indeed are on this path for some time, but with our application, it really made a big shift. And unfortunately, also the war, the brutal war against Ukraine, made it super clear for all of us inside the country that this is the only option we have as a country. And also through our application, it was super important for us, for all the leaders of the member states and also the institutions to have this in mind when they take decision to understand that that corner of the world has no other alternative than this path.
Mm-hmm. And I think also, I mean, there have probably been so many anecdotes and challenges, but what stands out for you in this process personally, at this whole step into the European Union?
For me personally, it means a lot because I dedicated my entire career into this. And even we would say that everyone that's working on this path would hope to see Moldova joining EU, but it would never been, if you asked me a few years ago, that I would be the person presenting our accession letter and also doing all the work and steps here in Brussels in order to convince the member states and also to do all the procedures for receiving the candidate status, also to work for implementing the homework, the steps within the opinion of the Commission, and then having the decision of the European Council to launch. Mm-hmm. Negotiation of accession in December last year, and then all the work to manage to have the first intergovernmental conference in June this year, which it's incredible speed if you compare to also the other countries that are ahead of us, especially the Western Balkans, and we are learning a lot from this process, and we really hope to keep up the pace and also to deliver.
Yeah, to keep up the pace. I mean, on average, it's very much to go through this process, accession, over 35 chapters. The average time, it's about 10 years, so it's still a long road ahead. But at the same time, things are already moving, as you said. Now, just this week, we know that the Commissioner for Enlargement, Mr. Varhelyi, was in the capital of Moldova, Chisinau, and he very much was part of this screening process. So tell us what that means. Is that another marker, a milestone, and what does that mean for this whole accession process?
We already had the exploratory screening from February to May, which means when the Commission explains to us what should we have already as a member state in terms of institution, legislation, framework in order to be a full-fledged and operational member state. And the Intergovernmental Conference allows us to move to the next stage, which is the bilateral screening, when it's our turn to come to the Commission and to explain from all this list of homework where we are. And that is already indirectly preparation for the negotiation, because there it's a stage where we also should inform about the transition periods in the areas where we would, and also it determines the level from where we'll start negotiations, like from low preparation, or like when it's the entry level, or it's more medium, or it's more kind of advanced. Because in some areas we, through the association agreement, which is already a pretty advanced agreement of cooperation that we are implementing for some time, we managed to adjust our legislation. So in some areas we're not starting from scratches, and it's also very important through this bilateral screening to establish this level.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if we look at the neighborhood, the Western Balkans and other countries, I mean, some of those have been in process for a long time. There have been holdouts. How concerned are you that potentially through some of the requirements from these screenings and these meetings that this process might be delayed or potentially even frozen? Are you concerned about it all?
We have the mantra one step at a time, and also it proved that concentrating and delivering on the step that we have ahead of us, it really leads us further. It's indeed the process, as we all know how the methodology works. It's complex. It requires many more moments of decision in unanimity. It's difficult to forecast and also to say how the world and European Union will look kind of in months and years to come. But we're very helpful, and despite the difficulties, we managed, and this gives a lot of hope. And we have a lot of will, political will and determination, also from line institutions to deliver. And this, it's an engine that we believe it will take us further.
Mm-hmm. Of course, and if we look at your country, I mean, we have also evidence that there's been Russian hybrid attacks. There's a concern there of Russia really meddling in Moldova. That's a security concern. That prompted this security and defense pact back in May between your country and the EU, the first of its kind with a non-EU member state. What does this mean for your country? I mean, we hear words of enhancing your country's resilience. What's going to be part of this pact?
It's indeed, Moldova been going through a lot, especially being challenged in different forms and ways through hybrid means. And it's super important to find the resilience, first of all, to have the means, the tools, the knowledge, and the capacity to stand strong. And we learned a lot, and we also benefited for some additional help from the European Union. Here I would like to mention the European Peace Facility, which is for the first time in already a couple of years in a row contributing to strengthening our defense sector. And with this, we also do actions, and we are strengthening our budget and our contribution. Also, we asked for the UPM, which is the European Partnership Mission in Moldova. And it's exactly the first mission at EU level that helps us to work on the hybrid dimension, and to have the understanding, to have strong institutions to be able to distinguish what is a hybrid action and how to react to that, and also to do all the work for fighting disinformation and the cyber attacks. And the partnership in itself, it's a platform that offers possibility to strengthen on a more systemic, not an ad hoc basis, all this cooperation, and to put it all together, and also to open doors to different other dimensions that we didn't have access to. And for us, it's building this ways of also different parts and institutions on this participation to the missions of European Union, also to strengthen cooperation like with INCHEN, with SATCHEN, now also trying to see how we can open up the cooperation with EDA, which is the European Defence Agency. So this partnership offers the political also support, and also a palette of tools where we can increase and enhance cooperation on defense and security.
And also, speaking of enhancing defense and security support, if we look at the region, your neighbor Romania, other allies, friends during this whole process, this accession time, how has the relationship been also between Romania or Poland or other countries in Eastern and Central Europe?
We are very lucky having a lot of support and openness from majority of member states, but especially the ones that joined the European Union in the last waves are the ones that have the most freshest experience. And also to already with many countries this year celebrated the 20th anniversary of joining, through numbers, through experience, through real facts can also share what EU means. And this is a very important element that you don't read in the books. You, like when businesses could share to our businesses, like the impact and the transformation, students to students, teachers to teachers. It's very powerful. And of course, the still pool of expertise, it's so precious for us. And now we're benefiting a lot from these exchanges, preparation for the bilateral screening, working teams for helping us to do the legal harmonization and to have the right understanding of what acquis means, especially the one which is super complex. But of course, the political support, it's even more important, especially into navigating this decision-making processes and all the stages. And we've been very grateful for all the support that we've been receiving. And also, these additional platforms like European Political Community that also we hosted offered this extra, again, platform where we could reach out, where we could share, where our voice could be heard.
Mm-hmm. And also I know that President Sandu has been very much someone leaning towards Europe, very pro-European leader, those elections and the referendum coming up later in the year. Looking also at that direction, looking at potentially even a doorway as we conclude the NATO summit, is NATO also in the cards for Moldova in your mind in the future?
We are not having now expressed our NATO aspirations, but of course we're interested to find ways to strengthen the cooperation, the dialogue, to find additional tools of how we can learn and to enhance cooperation also with allies through the NATO, but also bilaterally and in different forms. And there are different formats of dialogue established, and also trying to see the practicalities. And also, as you know, we are the pilot country in the dialogue with EU-NATO, and the coordination is also super important. We had recently some joint meetings here between the Secretary General of EAS, with Deputy Secretary General of NATO, and ourselves. So this kind of coordination to see how we can do together, what we can do separately, also what we should do back home in terms of reforms and commitments. So all this dialogue, it's also very important.
So it's a continuous journey forward, closer to the European Union. So thank you so much, Ambassador, for all your time. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. That was Sasha Farbach for TVP World in Brussels.